Guess what day it is? Supercharger day! We are going to mount the TVS 2300 onto my LQ9 408 stroked LS or Roxy Gto. I'm so pumped for you guys to see this episode. One thing before we start, Aaron's cousin Matt was in the shop pretty much the entirety of this episode because he is a welder and a fabricator and he was installing the cage on Roxy. You'll hear the welder in the background and you can look forward to seeing the cage install on the next episode because we were shooting all of that at the same time. And then we take the car to the dyno. Coming up soon on Flying Sparks Garage. Enjoy this episode. Happy Saturday. We actually got some rest last night. We didn't get out of bed until like 9:30 or 10. Going to sleep at roughly 5 a.m. We left the shop around 4:30. That was a decent amount of rest. But you guys, it's been a crazy morning already. To be quite frank, we've been working really hard to stay positive because we had a hiccup. We, more specifically I, got my back spacing and tire size wrong for the front and rear, but mostly rear on this car. This morning we went and picked them up after having them mounted and bolted them on the back of the car. Wrong. Bad. Terrible fitment. Can't work. Not gonna happen. So we've got to go pick up a new set. I just got my wheel and tire size wrong. I did a 5.5 inch backspace on the back wheel and it needs to be like a 7. And the tire is too tall as well. We already talked to Summit. They have them in stock. We've got an order number. All that's taken care of. It's just another $1,000. I'm so thankful for my sweet husband because he has been so positive and cool and just upbeat about all this because this is learning. In other news, it's Bolt on the Supercharger day. I'm wearing my Team Magnuson shirt that I freshly cut up. It's Saturday. On Tuesday, we have a date with the dyno. So Monday night, we're gonna have this car loaded on the trailer and ready to go. We really need to crank this thing at least by tomorrow, ideally by this evening. But we don't have the transmission in it. We don't have the clutch, drive shaft, all that stuff. That should go in fairly rapidly. It's the supercharger and figuring out all of the components that go with it to make it work, all the wiring and the intercooler and all of that stuff that needs to be mounted. We've just got to figure it all out. I'm really super thankful that this kit that we have is for my car. It's not like we're having to customize or modify or fabricate. So our hope is that it goes in rapidly, and I'm fairly certain that it will. Mission number 1 for me today is to switch out our regular pulley to the cog setup. Oh yeah. There's two pretty hilarious things about this cog swap that you'll notice if you know more than I do. There was actually a tension release bolt that I should have loosened to get these two pulleys off. I did not know that was there, so I gently used a block of wood and a hammer to gently tap them off.
Small pulley went over here, right? This one goes there, this one goes here.
Second, I could have swapped the pulleys and installed the small one on the back of the screws instead of the big one on the back of the screws, which is what we ended up doing at the dyno, meaning we ended up unbolting the supercharger when the car was on the dyno to put the smaller pulley on the screws so we could see more boost out of the blower. So, FYI, it comes with the bigger pulley on the screws, but you can put the smaller pulley and it can rotate more and make more boost. We have siliconed our ports and also these holes in the valley cover tray that are for the NOx sensors that are no longer used. But we were told that moisture can get up in here, so that we should put silicone on it. Aaron said that you guys might laugh at me, but I'm used to that, so we're good. It's good. Supercharger time!
It's a good thing Roxy's so light.
Oh, I don't think I can do this.
Dude, that's a strange.
That's a reach.
We definitely need to go back, but it appears that... Oh, I bet the engine's leaning back because the tran's not in.
Oh.
Get your jack and jack back the fan up.
Should I leave it like this? Just resting here?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not touching anything important. Oh.
No, mine just fell in.
Mine did too.
Perfection. Ho, 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 ho.
Bolt that piece of junk up.
Babe! You trying to get hit?
We have to go buy a welder because that piece of junk. Remember the pan hard bar on the truck? It's been verified. We had a real welder here and the welder's junk. So
yeah.
We're going to go get one, come back. She's going to have this car finished and we're going to hang out in the backyard. Yeah.
Not sure what happened, but I don't have any footage of me tightening a blower down. I blame it on Aaron for leaving to go to the store and not running the camera. It tightened down pretty much like an intake would, except for there was one bolt on the driver's side that was really hard to get to. Oh well, I probably cussed a lot doing it, so I wouldn't use the footage anyway. The Owen family saved our cookies again. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Josh from Vague Industries was here and did the turbo swap on the C10, and our friend David and Brayton came, and Brayton had HP tuners and he helped us work out the kinks in the tune. Well, with our whole tire saga, I got a text from David saying, hey, we're running to Summit if y'all need anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please pick up our wheels and tires. So it was perfect because they were able to swoop in, pick up our wheels and tires, and then bring them back out to the country so we didn't have to drive all the way out there because we got a few things we need to be doing instead of driving. I think this is gonna work.
Looks good from here.
I think it's gonna tuck. And we got the white walls out this time too, which is pretty slick.
Is the inside hitting it?
It's kind of close.
I figured it was gonna have to be
Might need
trimmed.
some hackery in there, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm up for it.
We have a sledgehammer.
Roxy's no cream puff, as y'all know. She's a good 10-footer, but that's why she's lovable.
She's a good 60-footer. Should be now.
Hey, I hope she's got a good 60-foot. That has something to do with my skills, though, so. I don't know. Hey, they're snug. Let's see if they tuck.
We can adjust that if they don't.
Yeah, it's true. We've got a little adjustment on the coilover bracket. I'd like to leave it at this because it's already so high in the back. Are you kidding? That's so tall. This tire's so much smaller than the other one.
No, better order another set. And we're still not happy.
No. No, I'm happy. I'm just the wheel gap. It'll be okay. It fits.
Well, we can lower it.
It's true. It's true.
It's fine.
It fits though, and it doesn't look like a crazy rat feet. That's much better. Okay, come look from the backside. This is good.
Yeah, that looks like the other wheels.
That's so good.
Sweet.
Yay! This is looking like progress to me. We are plugging in the injectors. Holy cow.
Don't plug them in wrong.
I'm yanking off this factory tensioner because they sent us a new one for the kit. And I'm going to install it. Okay, you guys, I'm working on this tensioner mod, and I believe I have it put together correctly. To me, this looks like the picture. It's bracket. I just have the bolt finger tied in there, but there is a pin that notches this guy so it's sure to be right where it needs to be. Then I believe this guy goes back here, and then it mounts like this to the head, and then you can adjust it from there. So let's take it over to the engine and see if we can get it fitted. This is done. It looks really good. Checking it off the list. Next mission, install the fuel manifold. We are taking this guy, and with this O-ring that I've got lubrication for, it bolts to the side of the fuel rail here. Couple of bolts, and the factory fuel line goes straight into it. So it looks pretty self-explanatory, and I'm not doing this in the order that the actual Magnuson instructions tell you to. I'm just kind of bouncing around. I do a job and then I look at the instructions again and I'm like, what kind of job can I find? Like for instance, earlier, before I went and got another SD card because I totally ran out of space on my SD card, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, I've got a job at hand and I don't have an SD card, so I just did it without filming it. I did not put my map sensor in the back of the supercharger underneath the pulleys which I should have done when I was doing my cog swap. But I did that off camera, and it was a pain to do it with it on the car, 1, and 2, with the fuel rail on, and 3, with the cog pulleys there. It's very hard to get to in that back corner, so I suggest if you're doing this swap, do the map sensor prior to installation and take the actual pulleys off to access it, because that would make it much easier. I was all kinds of finagling trying to get it in. But it's in now and it's good. So I'm doing this. I expect it to be a breeze, so let's see. This multi-purpose grease came with the kit. Gonna put a little bit of grease on this O-ring. Alright, I'm gonna click it into place. Nice. It is a lovely Sunday morning in the shop, and we're already getting just a skosh of progress done. Went to bed around 3:30 and got up around 6:30. So we had a little nap and that was good. Don't I look refreshed? This morning I am working on a relocation of the coil packs. Actually, Aaron and I both are. He's working on the passenger side, I'm working on the driver's side. And it looks like we're gonna get it done. Check it off the list, along with other 6,000 things. Aaron already has his coil packs actually bolted to the inner fender of the car. I have broken down my brackets because we're gonna mount the catch can on the driver's side, and I wanted to have plenty of room for that, so I'm gonna mount them exactly where I want them, to the inner fender with some self-tapping screws, and they should be good. All right, y'all, I'm about to install my last coil pack for the driver's side, and this, quite frankly, has been a pain in the ass. Yeah. I've filmed a bunch of this, but it just consists of a bunch of cuss words, so I'm probably gonna trash those clips and just use this, and I'm gonna try to be nice when I install this last one. The tiredness is definitely wearing on us. We haven't got a lot of sleep the past few days, and we're just like trying to stay positive. There's so much to be thankful for, and it's so exciting, but it is hard when you're tired. I'm gonna be really nice when I install this. Of course, my battery's dying. Happy thoughts. I love checking jobs like that off the list. Y'all, this is crazy. Aaron's like, I just got the balancer on, which we've had trouble with. He popped the belt on, and then he goes, Emily, I think we can officially call this car supercharged because the belt is on it now. That's huge. It's so exciting. Holy moly. Look, Roxy's up on the lift now. We are going to install the transmission, but first, my clutch. It's clutch time, y'all. I pulled my clutch out and sent it to my friends at Mantic. I did not know that they had this service, but if you own a Mantic clutch, you can send them your clutch and they will rebuild it for you. It costs roughly $600 to $800 depending on how much wear you have. If you're in the market for a clutch or you already have a Mantic and you're maybe wondering, I want to replace it, it's getting worn out, you can send it in. They put my name on it. It says M. That's cute. This clutch builds on to these studs. They look like studs, they're actually bolts. The bolt heads rest in this channel on the front side of the flywheel. I just think that's cool. This was the first clutch that I had built like this, so maybe this is just the normal thing and everybody's like, duh, Emily, that's how they all work, but I just think it's cool. This plate installs between the engine and the bell housing because of that fancy SFI junk we had to get. I've started a couple of bolts and I'm gonna put red Loctite on these guys so they are sure to stay put. That's what you're getting ready to see. And go. Alrighty, we're gonna start with our drive block. These guys slide onto these bolts. and they lock in against this edge. So once they're in, they don't turn. First disc going on. Time to throw this dang old bell housing up in here.
Throw it.
Just toss it.
So what you're looking at is a $150 bell housing, and what would that be? $550 sticker on the bottom of it?
SFI.
I'm getting up close. Look at this. Look at those studs.
That's what I'm saying. Look at these studs.
SFI approved. It's approved.
Studly. Stud.
Uh-oh. Boom.
Freaking awesome. So our sweet, sweet Datsun let us borrow this transmission for the trip. This actually was a trans that we bought for the car whenever we did the build in 2017, and it was sold to us as a stage 2 build. So to our understanding, it's more stout than just my stock T56 that I have 180,000 miles on. So hopefully this won't be a weak link. We have hope for it that it's going to be good and strong, so we're crossing our fingers. Drive shaft time. Wow, it's so light. The only thing light on this car. Oh my goodness.
Okay, rolling. Still.
This is my aluminum one-piece drive shaft from G-Force. Super really nice. Look at my drive shaft. Can we hold it?
Yeah.
It's really light. Here we go. Oh, okay. Got
You
it.
gotta jiggle it.
Thanks, babe. Is it bedtime? The drive shaft is in. I have tightened it to my likeness. Aaron is going to check the nuts tomorrow because it's roughly 2 a.m. and I just told him, okay babe, I want you to check the nuts on the U-bolts, and he's like, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. It's time for a little bit of a nap. Maybe we'll get up in a few hours and the cage will be done, and then we can install the fuel tank, and then we can install the coolant system, and then we can hit the key. Wow. In other news, it's awesome to have good friends. Thanks, Bo and Shane. Bo and Shane, Bo and Shane. So awesome. They're half asleep. They're like, it's time to go to bed. I'm kind of jacked because of all the progress, but what's new? We're about to lower the car down, but all of a sudden we're like, wait, we don't have wheels and tires on it. And since we swapped out the studs, of course we have to put the race pack on. Look, dude.
So nice.
There we go.
Those studs are so studly.
Studly man.
DR2s are just so sick with the white walls out. Babe,
What's up?
are you freaking out?
Not really. No, seems pretty normal.
This is normal, huh?
Yeah.
These Billet Specialty wheels are so gorgeous. They are the street lights. We did the 17 by 4.5 up front and the 15 by 10 in the back. She's going down. Drag pack is installed. Woo, I love that white lettering. Roxy. Well, happy Monday to you. The day is off to a great start. We actually had a healthy breakfast, which we've only been consuming fried chicken and pizza and beer and just junk. So a good healthy breakfast was a great way to start the day. This is a really big day because we are actually going to get this thing running. There are so many loose ends and so many things, little pages in the instruction book that we've just flipped by, like we'll do that later, There's so many of those, so we have to really button stuff up today, and I'm really excited about that. Intimidated, but excited. Aaron's already got the catch can sort of mocked up in its location, and this catch can was a gift from my friend Andrew, who is at Swift Tech, and he does all kinds of badass billet stuff, and he's in Australia and a big fan of the Monaro Roxy. He sent me some really special valve covers that I'm really excited to install, and I'm excited to show you guys. Anyway, I need to stop talking and get to work. Let's go. Here is where the supercharger, intercooler, or heat exchanger, whatever you want to call it, the instructions call it both. This is where it mounts. It hangs right here on the AC condenser. So, I'm gonna just test fit this stuff. I took my bolt out, and it wants me to rotate this counterclockwise about 20 degrees so that the intercooler clears from this hard line. So that hard line bent really easily, and it clears. In the kit, they include this installation rubber that's like a nice thick 3M rubber. It's got sticky on one side, and it goes right here to cushion where these big hooks go over the AC condenser. Before we even get to finally install these valve covers, we find out that we have to modify them a little bit. There is a 90-degree fitting that comes out of the Magnuson fuel rail that actually interferes with the valve cover, and it's pretty tight on the stock valve cover, but these billet valve covers that Andrew made me are just a slight bit thicker in that area. So we're gonna have to grind away a little bit at these valve covers to clear this 90. Oh my gosh. Look at these. They're so sick. Roxy Gto. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen when these were being CNC machined. Oh my goodness, they are so special and beautiful. His company is called Swift Tech, and he is out of Australia, like I said, and he does absolutely awesome work. Here is that fuel line that comes out of the fuel rail, and it is so tight. This 90 just interferes right here with the valve cover. So we're gonna have to clearance it a little bit. Oh, pains me, but it's gotta be done. I'm getting ready to cut some plastic out for the intercooler heat exchanger lines. They go through this direction up and underneath, and so you have to clearance some of the plastic. So I'm gonna zip that out. Made some room. There were a couple of bolts and a plug that plugged into the reservoir right here for the wiper fluid. That is about to come out for the pump for the heat exchanger. Go into the outside passenger side frame rail, and we're going to install a couple of self-tapping screws in the location shown. And that is where the pump is going. All right, time to run the harness to it and the hoses. I wanted to show you guys my routing for the intercooler lines to the pump because it's done, and it's awesome to check it off the list. Okay, here is the pump, and it's mounted right behind my wiper fluid reservoir. So you take that out, and then you're able to access the inside of that frame rail, and that is where you install your pump. So the lines come out from behind the AC condenser, and then they just route around up to the pump. It's radiator time. Totally just hit myself in the forehead with this. It's radiator time. It's radiator time. It's radiator time.
Did you?
Yes.
Your face is so pristine and clean and no marks.
I think maybe I should just install the radiator and not talk. Ooh! You better leave, Aaron, before I tell you that your coil packs are nicked from the lower radiator. He literally just said, oh, I'm gonna go get O2s. I don't want to get hung up by that. Guess what I'm doing? Bleeding the clutch while I'm pumping the clutch. This is the fun part. Bleeding, not so fun. I don't know what time it is, probably around dinner time, 6:30 or 7. I think we're gonna be cranking this thing soon. What time is it, Aaron?
8 o'clock.
8. But I'm getting a good pedal. Yay, the clutch is bled. Right now I am on my 3rd spark plug. I'm tightening them. Well, first I'm checking them to be sure they're good. tightening them, putting the spark plug wires on. Aaron's hooking up the fuel line. Oh my goodness. This might be the countdown to the crank up. Woo! Okay, the exhaust is in. We had a little fitment issue with it. The differential and the drive shaft are both hitting the exhaust, so we're going to have to figure out a fitment problem there. But tonight, what we did to make it work was zip ties. Let's lower her down, crank it up. All right, roughly 9 to 10 hours away from our dyno tune, we're gonna hit the key for the first time. Now, we don't expect it to fire because we don't have fuel to the engine. We're going to turn it over a handful of times just to get some oil circulating through the engine and make sure everything is nicely lubricated before we actually give it fuel and make explosions inside this hunk of metal. And boost! Holy moly, I'm so freaking stoked. And I need it because I'm so tired and about to fall asleep and I'm like loopy Linda over here. The gang's all here though. Bo's here, Matt. Aaron's under the car. He's installing a last minute oil pressure gauge. It's just a manual one that we're just gonna be able to monitor oil pressure for first crank up, so. Yay! Green light. Yeah. Can we put the fuel to it?
What do you think, Bo?
Should we turn it over more and let it circulate more?
Turnovers a little bit more than the fire do it.
Yep. I think that's good. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I know we have plenty of oil through the system.
Building 40 PSI.
And it was
That's
staying nice and strong.
That
Just like,
scares me a little bit.
Did you change the oil pump?
Yeah.
Brand new milling.
Oh, that's really good. For just a starter?
So I'm gonna plug pump in.
let's do it!
You ready?
Yes!
You guys watch that oil pressure.
Oh my gosh. All I could focus on was the wine. I have to be honest.
I know, I saw.
It sounded amazing.
It really did.
You started again?
Yeah, start it again.
That's like it was, whatever it was right in here.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes. It's gotta be, it's little chunks of metal almost.
Your pulley's on your there you go.
That's what it is! Yep, the air intake pipe. That's so funny. It was like shaving little chunks of the stainless.
Here's what's funny. I was like, it's coming from right here or somewhere.
You were listening to
I was
it.
getting my ear right down on it.
Oh my god, that blower sounds freaking awesome. I can't believe that's on my car. Oh my gosh.
Do it again.
I'm weirded out.
All right, here we go. Neutral.
There's no shifter. Sounds awesome. Dude, yeah. Still chops. Oh my gosh. My car has blower wine and idle. I can't even take it. What? What? Oh my god. I can't. Holy cow. I'm freaking out. Stop. I'm freaking out! Oh my
More than that.
gosh!
Until it's tuned.
Oh my
Dude.
It doesn't
Dude.
for idle.
Oh my god.
Surprised.
Oh my god. How can it just crank up and run that good?
I figured
LS.
the
It's
idle.
gonna be burnout.
Freaking, my heart is racing. I can't believe how loud it is.
It sounds. I'm
Bo.
hoping the camera does it justice because I mean it sounds good.
Oh my heavenly
The biggest thing
days.
is I don't know if it's gonna catch the supercharger how loud it is just as idle.
I know.
What a day this has been. It's been a crazy few days with like little naps here and there. Right now I'm gonna sign off for a sec and go have another little nap. I'm not real sure what time it is.
2 o'clock.
2 a.m. And last night I slept from 4:30 to 7. So, like I said, little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Gonna go get some rest. Aaron slept in nice this morning, so he is going to stay up and work on some wiring that I was not able to get to, mostly because I avoid wiring. He's gonna work on some of that. Matt is going to weld in the last bar of the roll cage on the passenger side, and I'm so psyched about waking up and seeing that. These guys are awesome. They're gonna keep work going. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. See you guys soon. As always, like and subscribe and comment below if you have any ideas, questions, lovely things to say. And we recently made a Patreon account, so if you feel inclined, any contribution would be appreciated. You can find it in our description below. As always, see you next time.